standing before the towering crystal spires of the Galactic Council chambers. I, Ambassador Lux Nova of the Celestial Concordate, felt my antennae twitch with anticipation. 300 cycles of peaceful diplomatic service hadn't prepared me for this moment. The humans were coming. "Your Grace," my assistant Farah Lightweaver whispered, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with concern. "The human delegation has arrived." I smoothed down my ceremonial robes, a habit I'd developed over centuries of negotiations. Well, this should be interesting, and by interesting I mean potentially catastrophic. The massive quantum crystal doors swung open with their usual dramatic flair. Show-offs, these council architects. Through them strode the human representatives, and I'll admit, they weren't quite what I expected. No battle axes, no war paint, just crisp uniforms and determined expressions. Their leader, Ambassador Maya Blackstar, moved with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. Behind her walked Commander Adrian Phoenix and Security Chief Elena Storm. Yes, even their names seemed engineered for maximum dramatic effect. I fought the urge to roll all four of my eyes. "Ambassador Nova," Maya extended her hand, that peculiar human gesture of greeting. "On behalf of Earth, we're honored to be here." I reciprocated, trying not to flinch at the warmth of her skin. My species runs about 20 degrees cooler. "The honor is mutual, though I must confess, your reputation precedes you." "Oh," her eyebrow arched. "And which reputation would that be? The one where we're violent barbarians, or the one where we're hopelessly naive children playing with fusion drives?" I appreciated her directness, even if it made my diplomatic training scream in horror. "A bit of both, actually. Your species achieved faster-than-light travel while still engaging in regional conflicts. That's concerning." Commander Phoenix stepped forward, his medals catching the light. "With all due respect, Ambassador, we learned to defend ourselves because we had to. The galaxy isn't always a friendly place." "The galaxy," I countered, "would be friendlier if everyone chose peace first." "Peace through strength," Eleanor Storm added, her voice carrying that distinctive human steel. "Sometimes the best way to avoid a fight is to be ready for one." I felt my antennae droop slightly. This was exactly what I'd feared. Here was a species that had somehow convinced themselves that preparedness for violence was a path to peace. The logical gymnastics involved would have won them medals in another human sport. "Perhaps," I said diplomatically, "we should move to the council chambers. The other representatives are waiting." As we walked, I couldn't help but notice how the other species' representatives shifted away from the humans. The Zephyrians actually changed colors, their equivalent of nervous sweating. The quantum collective's crystalline forms vibrated at a frequency I recognized as anxiety. Only the ancient Voidborn seemed unperturbed, but then again, they'd seen civilizations rise and fall like waves on a cosmic shore. To them, humans were probably just another ripple. Little did I know then, but this meeting would change everything, and not in the way any of us expected. "Shall we begin?" Maya Blackstar's voice carried through the chamber, strong and clear. "Yes," I thought. "Let's see just how much trouble you're going to cause." The distress signal hit our neural networks like a supernova. Screams echoed through the quantum channels, making my antennae vibrate painfully. The Ravagers, those space-borne nightmares we thought were safely contained in the dark sectors, had broken through. Their target, New Harmony, our most peaceful colony. "By the first light!" Farah gasped, her bioluminescence dimming to a terrified flicker. "There are 10,000 colonists on New Harmony!" The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives from 30 species all talking at once, their voices a cacophony of panic and indecision. The Zephyrians were already proposing evacuation strategies, for their own worlds, of course. The Quantum Collective had gone into emergency hibernation. Real helpful, that. Then Maya Blackstar's voice cut through the noise like a plasma torch through hull plating. "Earth Defense Force can respond. We have 3 battle groups within jump range." "Absolutely not," the Voidborn Elder's voice boomed. "This is an internal concordate matter. Humanity has no jurisdiction. With all respect due to the elder, Maya interrupted, and I noticed she didn't specify how much respect that was. Those colonists will be dead by the time we finish this debate. I watched her tap her neural interface, and Commander Phoenix's hologram materialized in the center of the chamber. Battle groups are ready, Ambassador. Just give the word. The council erupted again. Phrases like military adventurism and aggressive expansion flew around the chamber. I stood there watching my fellow representatives talk and talk while my people died. Ambassador Nova? Maya's voice was quiet now, meant for my ears only. We can help, but we need your permission. 10,000 lives, my people, my responsibility. Do it! Maya's smile was fierce. Phoenix, you have green light. Save those people. What happened next? Well, I'd read reports about human military capabilities. Dry, analytical documents full of technical specifications and tactical assessments. None of them prepared me for the reality. The human battle groups dropped out of hyperspace like avenging angels. Their ships, which we'd dismissed as crude and inefficient, moved with devastating precision. Commander Phoenix's voice carried across all channels as he coordinated the defense. Ravager heavy units bearing 3-3 Mark 7, tungsten rods, full spread. Multiple bogies on attack vector, rolling thunder protocol, light 'em up. Civilian transports, you are cleared for emergency jump. We'll hold the line. The Ravagers, used to preying on peaceful worlds, found themselves facing an enemy that not only fought back, but seemed to relish the challenge. Human ships took hits that would have vaporized our vessels, their reinforced hulls barely scratched. They gave back 10 times worse. This is Guardian 3, breaking formation to cover civilian evacuation. I watched through the neural feed as a human cruiser deliberately put itself between a Ravager beam weapon and a transport full of my people. The cruiser's shields flared like a dying star, but they held. Eleanor Storm's voice crackled through. Medical teams standing by on all platforms. We're seeing severe trauma cases. Someone want to tell me why these colonists don't have basic shield implants? Because we never thought we'd need them, I answered silently. Because we believed peace was enough. The battle lasted 27 minutes. It felt like 27 years. When it was over, 8 Ravager capital ships were drifting hulks. The humans had lost 2 frigates, their crews successfully evacuated, and 3 fighters. Out of 10,000 colonists, 9,843 survived. In the council chamber, the neural feeds went dark. Silence fell. Preliminary report, Commander Phoenix's hologram announced. Ravager threat neutralized. Civilian evacuation successful. Requesting permission to establish a temporary defense perimeter around New Harmony. Maya looked at me. Everyone looked at me. Permission granted, I heard myself say. And thank you. Don't thank us yet, Eleanor Storm's hologram joined Phoenix's. We found something in the Ravager command ship's databanks. Ambassador Blackstar, you're going to want to see this. Maya's expression turned grim as she received the data. She looked around the council chamber, her eyes lingering on certain representatives. I noticed the Zephyrian delegate trying very hard to become invisible. It seems, she said carefully, that some parties were aware of the Ravagers' intentions. In fact, they might have suggested the target. The chamber exploded again, but this time with accusations and denials. I stood there feeling the foundations of everything I believed cracking beneath my feet. Ambassador Nova, Maya's voice cut through my shock. I think it's time we had a real conversation about peace, strength, and what it truly means to protect civilization. I looked at the tactical display, still showing the human ships forming a protective ring around what remained of New Harmony. Then I looked at the council, still arguing, still playing their political games while my people's blood cooled in the void. Yes, I said, I believe it is. The humans had shown us something today. Not just their military might, anyone can destroy. They'd shown us their willingness to bleed for others, to place themselves between danger and the innocent. To fight not for glory or gain, but because it was right. Perhaps we'd been wrong about them all along. Perhaps we'd been wrong about a lot of things. Farah, I called to my assistant. Schedule an emergency session of the Concordat High Council. I believe it's time we reviewed our position on certain matters. All of them? She asked, her bioluminescence showing her understanding. All of them, I confirmed. Starting with our relationship with humanity. Sometimes the path to true peace requires a detour through war. I just never expected humans would be the ones to teach us that lesson. After the New Harmony incident, I found myself doing something unprecedented. I requested a temporary posting on Earth. The Concordat High Council nearly had a collective seizure when they heard my request. The Voidborn Elder actually laughed. First time in recorded history, I might add. My first week on Earth, Commander Phoenix became my guide. Ambassador, he said, leading me through a bustling Tokyo street. You've seen us fight. Now it's time to see why we fight. A street musician caught my attention, her fingers dancing across something called a violin. The sound made my antennae quiver with... What was this sensation? Joy? Sorrow? Both? That's Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, Adrian explained, written by a man who was going deaf, yet created some of our most beautiful music. Beautiful, I agreed, but sad. That's humanity in a nutshell, a new voice joined us. Elena Storm appeared, carrying something that smelled divine. Coffee? She offered. Fair warning, it's addictive. I accepted the drink, nearly dropping it when the heat and flavour hit my sensory organs. This is... intense. Like us, Elena grinned. Come on, there's something you need to see. They took me to a place called the Metropolitan Museum of Art. My species appreciates beauty, but we tend toward the abstract, the mathematically perfect. What I saw here was different. Paintings of war next to paintings of lovers. Sculptures of agony beside sculptures of ecstasy. Notice anything? Adrian asked as we stood before a massive canvas. They're all feeling, I replied. Everything here is charged with emotion. Exactly, Elena pointed to a painting of a mother protecting her child. That's us. Emotion is our fuel. Love, anger, joy, sorrow. We feel everything at full volume. But how do you function? I asked. How do you maintain peace with such intensity? Adrian's expression turned serious. We don't always. But here's the thing about humans. We learn. Every war teaches us to value peace more. Every loss makes us protect harder. Every fall makes us rise stronger. We moved to another section filled with historical artifacts. This is what I really wanted you to see, Elena said, stopping before a display. The righteous among nations. She explained the concept. People who risked everything to protect strangers during one of humanity's darkest periods. They had every reason to look away, she said quietly. It would have been easier, safer, but they couldn't. That's the righteous anger we talk about, the fury that comes from seeing innocents harmed. Like at New Harmony, I realized. Exactly, Adrian nodded. We're not peaceful like your people, Ambassador. We can't be, but we've learned to channel our fire. Later that day, they took me to a school. Children of various ages were playing in something called a playground. I watched, fascinated, as a larger child stopped two smaller ones from fighting over a toy. See that? Elena pointed. No adult told him to do that. Protection instinct. It's hardwired into us. Along with the fighting instinct, I noted. Two sides of the same coin, Adrian shrugged. We fight because we care. Sometimes caring means standing up, standing between. My next stop was a military academy, not to see weapons or tactics, but to watch a graduation ceremony. Young humans, dedication shining in their eyes, swearing an oath to protect. They're so young, I whispered. They're the age humans have always been when they stand up, Eleanor replied. Young enough to believe they can change the universe, old enough to give everything trying. The day ended at a place Adrian called a jazz club. The music here was different from the morning's violin, wild, unpredictable, yet following hidden patterns I could barely grasp. "This is what makes humans dangerous," I said suddenly, making both my guides look at me. "Not your weapons or your ships. This duality. You create such beauty, yet fight with such ferocity. You make art about war and find poetry in peace." "Now you're getting it," Elena smiled. "We contain multitudes, as one of our poets said." "Your people chose peace," Adrian added. "It's admirable. But we had to learn it, fight for it, bleed for it. Maybe that's why we guard it so fiercely." A new song started, something they called "What a Wonderful World." As the gravelly voice sang about bright, blessed days and dark, sacred nights, I felt understanding finally click into place. "You know what really surprised me about humans?" I said, my antennae swaying to the music. "What's that?" they both asked. "Not that you fight, not even how well you fight, but that after fighting you create, you heal, you build. Most aggressive species I've known can only destroy." Elena's eyes sparkled. "Maybe that's because we're not really an aggressive species at all." "No? Nope." Adrian finished his drink. "We're a protective species that got really, really good at fighting because we had to." I thought about New Harmony, about human ships taking fire meant for my people, about medical teams working themselves to exhaustion to save alien lives. "The Concordat has always believed that peace means the absence of conflict," I said slowly. "But you humans, you've shown me it's something else entirely." "Oh?" Elena raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "Peace is what you protect with everything you have, even if that means fighting for it." They both smiled, and in that moment I knew the report I would send back to the High Council. Humanity wasn't just ready for greater integration into galactic society, they were essential to it. We needed their fire, their passion, their righteous anger. Most of all, we needed their ability to create beauty from chaos, to protect peace through strength. The galaxy was about to change, and for once I wasn't afraid of change at all. "Order!" High Councillor Luna Frost's voice resonated through the crystalline chamber of the Concordat Assembly. "We will have order!" Good luck with that, I thought, watching my fellow Concordat members practically vibrating with agitation. I'd just finished presenting my report on humanity, along with the evidence Elena Storm had uncovered about the Ravager attack. The chamber looked like someone had kicked a quantum hive. "This is preposterous!" Councillor Vale Starweaver's voice cut through the chaos. "Are we seriously considering an alliance with warriors?" He made it sound like a disease. I stepped forward. "No, Councillor. We're considering an alliance with protectors." "Semantics," he waved a dismissive appendage. "Their history is soaked in blood." Interesting choice of words. I activated the holographic display. "Speaking of blood, let's discuss the communication logs we recovered from the Ravager flagship." The room went deadly quiet. Data scrolled through the air, communications between certain Concordat officials and our supposed enemies. Dates, coordinates, suggestions about vulnerable targets. New Harmony was chosen, I said into the silence, because some believed we were becoming too passive. Luna Frost's crystalline features hardened. "Names, Ambassador Nova. We need names." "Already provided to internal security," I nodded toward the shadows where our own protection forces waited. "But that's not why we're here. We're here to discuss humanity." "Yes," Vale sneered, though I noticed he was sweating phosphorescent drops. "The savages who just happened to be in position to play hero. They lost ships defending us," I reminded him. "Lost lives, and asked nothing in return." "Yet," someone muttered. I felt my antennae quiver with suppressed anger. "Let me share something else I learned on Earth. They have a saying, 'The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing.'" "How charmingly primitive," Vale started, but Luna cut him off. "Continue, Ambassador. We've built our society on peace. It's admirable, beautiful even. But we've confused peace with passivity. While we meditated on harmony, others plotted our destruction." While we preached non-violence, our own people died. Images of new harmony filled the chamber. Not the attack, the aftermath. Human medical teams working alongside our healers. Earthships forming a protective screen around our colony. Commander Phoenix personally carrying injured children to safety. This is humanity, I said. Not their weapons or their wars, but their hearts. They fight not because they love violence, but because they hate injustice more than they fear conflict. Pretty words, Vale scoffed. But what of their history? Their atomic weapons? Their endless conflicts? Yes, let's talk about their history. I activated another display. Every advancement in human medicine was driven by their need to heal war wounds. Their space program, born from military technology. They took the tools of war and forged them into tools of peace. When's the last time we created anything new? That hit home. The Concordat hadn't produced significant technological advances in centuries. We'd been too focused on maintaining what we had. They're dangerous, someone warned. Yes, I agreed. To our enemies. To those who would harm the innocent. Isn't that exactly what we need? Luna Frost stood, her crystalline form catching the light. You're suggesting we fundamentally change our society's foundation? No, I corrected. I'm suggesting we protect it. The galaxy is changing. The Ravager attack proved our current path is unsustainable. We need allies who understand both creation and destruction, who know the value of peace because they know the cost of war. And if they turn on us? They won't, I said with certainty, because we'll give them no reason to. They protect their allies as fiercely as they fight their enemies. We've seen it. The debate raged for hours. I showed more evidence, human art, music, their works of philosophy and science, their incredible capacity for both love and rage, creation and destruction, all in service of protection. Finally, Luna called for silence. We've heard much today about humanity's strength, their duality, their protective instincts. But Ambassador Nova, you haven't addressed the key question. What do they want from us? I smiled. They want what they've always wanted, to explore, to learn, to grow. Our wisdom, our art, our perspective on peace, these fascinate them. They don't want to change us. They want to complement us. Like the sword and the shield, someone mused. Exactly, I nodded. We've tried being both. We've failed at both. Perhaps it's time to accept that true harmony comes not from everyone being the same, but from different strengths working together. Luna's crystalline form pulsed with thought. And those who betrayed us? Who conspired with the Ravagers? We'll face justice, I said firmly. Human justice if necessary. They take a dim view of those who endanger innocence. The vote, when it came, was closer than I'd like, but it passed. The Celestial Concordat would formally ally with humanity. As the chamber emptied, Vale approached me. I hope you know what you're doing, Nova. I do. I watched internal security quietly escort several members away for questioning. Tell me, Vale, did you really think we wouldn't find out about your conversations with the Ravagers? He froze. Humanity taught me something important, I continued conversationally. Peace isn't weak. Peace doesn't mean letting evil triumph. Sometimes peace must be protected with force. You've doomed us all, he whispered as security approached. No, I corrected him. I've saved us. We're no longer alone in the night. Later, sending the news to Earth, I added a personal note to Maya. Your people have a saying, peace through strength. We're ready to provide the peace if you'll provide the strength. Her reply was swift. Together, old friend, we'll provide both together. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had known all along. True peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of justice, protected by those willing to stand against the dark. The announcement rocked the galactic news networks like a supernova. Maya Blackstar and I stood side by side on the grand platform of the Galactic Council, making history with every word. Today, Maya's voice carried across quantum channels to every corner of known space. Earth and the Celestial Concordat, announced the formation of the Guardian Accord. I watched the other representatives' reactions. The Zephyrians turned an interesting shade of green, their version of going pale. The Quantum Collective vibrated at frequencies indicating severe distress. The Voidborn Elder actually sat up straight, which hadn't happened in roughly a millennium. "The peaceful shall be protected," I added, feeling the weight of centuries lifting from my antennae. "The innocent shall be defended. The stars themselves shall witness this covenant." Of course, the universe has a sense of humor. We hadn't even finished the ceremony when the emergency signals blared. "Multiple Ravager fleets detected," Commander Phoenix's hologram materialized. "They're hitting everything at once. Concordate colonies, human outposts, trade routes. This is a coordinated strike." The council erupted into panic. Again, they really needed a new reaction to crises. Maya's eyes met mine. "Ready to test this alliance for real?" "Now?" I squeaked. "We haven't even finished the ceremonial feast." "No time like the present," Elena Storm joined us, already in battle gear. "Besides, I heard the feast was going to be vegan." The next few hours were chaos, but a different kind than usual. Instead of running around like headless Zortaxians, we had a plan. The humans had been preparing for this since New Harmony. "Concordate vessels, take position behind Earth's battle groups," Adrian's voice commanded. "Your shields are stronger, our weapons hit harder. Perfect combo." He was right. Human ships moved with aggressive precision, while our vessels provided defensive support. When the Ravagers fired their planet-killer weapons, our combined shield walls held firm. "This is Guardian Actual," Elena's voice crackled through the comms. "All units execute Operation Firewall." I watched in awe as human and concordate ships moved in perfect synchronization. We'd barely had time to train together, but somehow it worked. Their fire, our protection. Their strength, our stability. "Multiple bogies on attack vector 7, a human captain called out. "Concordate cruiser Starlight responding," one of my people answered. "Shields at maximum." The battle raged across 12 star systems. The Ravagers had expected easy targets, divided forces. Instead, they found something unprecedented. Humanity's fierce protection, backed by concordate defensive technology. "They're retreating," someone shouted after 3 hours of intense fighting. "Not this time!" Maya's voice was steel. "Ambassador Nova, your permission to pursue?" I thought of New Harmony, of betrayal, of peace protected by strength. Granted. End this. The combined fleet jumped into hyperspace, tracking the Ravager retreat to their home base. What we found there explained everything. "Those are Zephyrian supply ships," Elena observed. "And quantum collective energy matrices," I added. "Well, well," Maya's smile was sharp. "Looks like some of our fellow council members have been playing both sides." The battle that followed was brief, but decisive. Turned out the Ravagers weren't so tough when faced with an enemy that could actually fight back. When it was over, our teams downloaded enough evidence to keep the Council's Internal Affairs Division busy for decades. "Ambassador," Adrian called me to the command center, "we found their leadership. You should handle this part." The Ravager Supreme Commander was surprisingly small in person. "You violated the peace," I stated formally. "Peace?" he laughed. "Peace is stagnation. Peace is weakness." "No," Maya stepped up beside me. "Peace is precious. That's why it needs guardians." The aftermath changed everything. Half the Galactic Council was implicated in the Ravager conspiracy. The Zephyrians and Quantum Collective faced sanctions. The Voidborn Elder actually smiled. Definitely a sign of apocalyptic change. But the biggest change was in my people. Watching humans fight not for glory or conquest, but to protect others, taught us something vital. Peace isn't just the absence of conflict. Sometimes it's the presence of those willing to face conflict so others don't have to. "So," Maya found me later, watching Earth and Concordate ships running joint patrol patterns. "Still think we're too aggressive?" "Yes," I admitted. But now I understand. Aggression isn't always a bad thing. It depends on what you're aggressive about. Protection, she nodded. Protection, I agreed. Though I'm still not sure about this coffee substance you introduced to our people. The amount of energy it generates seems unsafe. Elena joined us, carrying 3 cups of the mentioned stimulant. Just wait until they discover espresso. Is that a threat, Chief Storm? More like a promise, Ambassador. We stood there watching our forces work together. Human instructors were teaching our people combat basics, while our scientists helped upgrade Earth's shields. Different approaches, different strengths, one purpose. The galaxy's changing, Adrian appeared, studying tactical displays. Good, I surprised myself by saying. It needed to. The Ravager threat wasn't over. These things never are. But for the first time in centuries, I felt real hope. Not the passive hope of meditation and withdrawal, but the active hope of those willing to build a better future. Maya raised her coffee cup. To the Guardian Accord. To peace, I added. To peace with really big guns, Eleanor grinned. We all laughed, and somewhere in that laughter, I heard the future. It sounded like hope. It sounded like strength. It sounded like peace worth protecting. By the way, I mentioned casually, my people are considering adding a self-defense course to our standard education. Maya spat out her coffee. You're kidding. Not at all. We're calling it harmonious protection techniques. That, Elena declared, is the most concordant way possible of saying how to kick butt. We contain multitudes, I quoted, making them all smile. Peace and strength, wisdom and power, harmony and protection. Together, we'd found balance, and the galaxy would never be the same.